Hello everyone, my name is Lowko, and it is time for another viewer match. What I've got for you today is a Platinum League game of Terran versus Zerg. Spawning here in the top left-hand corner of Abyssal Reef LE, and playing with the red Zerg drones, we have none other than Biscuit. Biscuit! I love that nickname. Biscuit and his opponent already actually sending out an SCV. That could just be for scouting though. His opponent spawning in the bottom right-hand corner, now also sending out a second SCV, so I don't think it's scouting after all. He's playing with the blue Terran SCVs, and he goes by the nickname of Rawr. I don't know how to pronounce that. I think it's one of the two, Rawr or Roar. But anyways, he's already sending out two SCVs. He's actually showing the Overlord the SCV as well a couple of times. The Zerg must realize that something is a little bit off here. Even the second Overlord now available. Another SCV is also going to show itself in just a second. No, dude. If you're... Rawr. If you plan on rushing your opponent, right, and there is indeed a barracks going down, I would actually... And this is a crazy suggestion, right? But I would actually suggest that you try to hide your proxying SCVs, because this immediately triggered the Zerg player to go for a spawning pool inside of the main base location. Alright, so double barracks opener right here from the Terran. Zerg is still going to be getting that hatchery on the low ground, but it looks like we are in for a little bit of cheese. Now, of course, this is going to be a viewer-submitted replay, right? And if you've got an awesome match yourself as well, you can go ahead and submit it to replays@LowkoTV, and I may end up casting your game in the future, but please keep in mind, we do get quite a few, and obviously, I'm only trying to cast the very best of the very best. And actually, I've been really enjoying this. I think I've been doing this for like a half year or so, rather than just like focusing on Bronze League heroes. I've been really enjoying like casting a variety of strategies, just because a lot of these builds, like for example a bunker rush, it's not that viable at a higher level of play. You will very seldomly see this at the top level of StarCraft 2, because the Zerg is just simply going to pull some drones and, you know, make sure that these bunkers never go up. But this right now is actually looking a little bit scary already. I mean, these Zerglings are a little bit indecisive. They're trying to figure out what they need to go ahead and do. They will try to go after a single one of these SCVs, but the other bunker, I think, will indeed finish up. That may very well force the cancel here on that hatchery on the low ground, while Rawr will not be able to finish that second bunker. Indeed, we do now see that forced cancel there on the hatchery already, as Terran managed to get these bunkers up and running. In the meantime though, in the main base of the Zerg, Biscuit is already teching up towards a lair, so maybe he's planning to go for like a really quick spire play. There's already a single spine crawler now coming in as well. I don't think you want to engage that. Don't do it. Okay, good. I would actually really like to see the Zerg player right now go for a counterattack across the map. Rawr in the meantime, right? He's got all of his unit-producing structures right here close to the Zerg's base. He doesn't really have anything here to defend against anything at home. So while these supply depots are there to shield away the Zerg units for now, this can still, at the very least, cost a lot of mining time and potentially allow the Zerg player to break through. There's a lot of gas being taken right now too, though. And actually, there's a Roach Warren coming in. Okay, I think... Yeah, there's also an Evo Chamber, actually. I think this might just be either a Roach timing, or it might just be a Nidus play. A Nidus play would actually not be a bad idea whatsoever. Yeah, there we go. The Nidus War is coming in. I actually really like this. I love playing this when my opponent is going for a cannon rush. It's a little bit odd against a bunker rush, I suppose, but versus Protoss cannon rushes, Nidus networks are very, very powerful. Zerg did eventually send the Zerglings across the map as well, but right now he's deciding to pull them back. I think that might be necessary, but the Marines for now, though, have decided that apparently they want to go back to the safety of that factory that is currently landed inside what would have been the natural expansion here of the Zerg player. In the meantime, though, on the other side of the map, the depots are right... What? Dude! Whoa! Terran player, what was that? I was gonna say the depots are there to prevent these Zerglings from coming in. He quite literally opened up the front door. I have no clue what happened there. I think that Rawr managed to, like, re-rally this barracks or whatever, and then, like, make sure that he... Oh my god, that is... Okay, so these Zerglings are gonna go to town right now inside of that mineral line already, picking up 8-9 SCV kills in just a matter of seconds. That's very painful. That was like 8 to 10 or so Zerglings picking so many of these kills up already, and we do indeed see that follow-up right now from Biscuit to be able to go for that Nidus network as well. Now, you gotta keep in mind, this is a contained Zerg player, right? Look at that. Even the bunkers behind the mineral line have been salvaged, and while the Lynx are still going to town, and right now a Nidus Worm is also going up, Terran can just simply lift their buildings, and Zerg is gonna have a very hard time to expand. Alright, here we go. Nidus Worm will shortly be finishing up. Roach is actually pushing down that ramp. They have to be very careful. If they go down, that would be a bit of a shame, because these siege tanks are going to be able to deal a lot of damage. But there we go. Nidus Worm will eventually get scouted. One of the hero roaches already going ahead of its brethren to show indeed that the coast is clear and that, you know, the rest of the Zerg swarm can come out of the Nidus Worm as well. SCVs smartly immediately evacuated on out of there. I actually really like this, right? Immediately lifting, not even trying to defend this, and Zerg will once again be forced to go back home because he may very well need to defend against what is going to be a siege tank based army. Actually really nicely done here. Raw at this point in the game knows that there's no creep spread, right? On top of that ramp here for the Zerg, so these spines are not going to be in range, although he does need that high ground vision. I would actually really like it. There we go, that's beautiful. For the barracks to, for example, be uplifted and provide that high ground vision, because right now the siege tanks are going to shell away like no tomorrow. Once again, right? Tightening this contain that the Terran player has right now, while a couple of hero roaches are trying their very best to hit back at their Terran opponent. This is not quite going to be the scenario they want to be in. And with another siege tank now finishing up, and of course that SCV repairing the first, this might actually be a slow push inside of the main base of the Zerg player. In the meantime, though, Biscuit is remaking his Roach Horde and spawning pool on the other side of the map, using the creep spread out of that Nidus Worm. The Terran player has also now lifted up that command center, of course, and while Zerg is still hunting down where that's located so far, he doesn't know where it's at, and Rar is gonna just simply go ahead and once again construct the supply depot and continue mining here, while the roaches apparently... Oh man, you guys are looking the wrong direction. Are they gonna find this? That would actually be a really big deal. I don't think they will. I think he's assuming they're over there. Yeah, no, they're actually a lot closer to that army than you would have anticipated. But here we go, though. The siege tanks are slowly unsieging and leapfrogging forward. What's up, Mr. Shark? Mr. Shark is overseeing the battlefield from up above. Now, there's a little bit of Miss Micro there. The ramp is always going to be a bit of a pain in the butt. Now, also, the natural expansion of the Terran player has been taken, as Roar is no longer present there, other than with, you know, these two refineries. But the siege tanks will be able to get in range here, and all of the drones are loaded into the Nidus network as Biscuit decides to just simply evacuate all of his units on out of there. He's even gonna take the expansion, no way! Neither player. Look at them. These are some blind units. They're quite literally next to each other, but apparently the fog of war just hurts a little bit too much. Now, these roaches, they know that there must be, you know, like a command center somewhere. They know that there must be a command center somewhere. They have been roaming the map to all of these outer bases, just not checking the one that was so close to home. Look at that. He's checked every single base on this side, just barely not this one. That could actually be detrimental, because mules are absolutely incredible. And Raw, I mean, supply-wise, is still looking really solid. While Zerg is apparently gonna end up losing this lair, I don't think it will be up for very much longer. They're also already securing a couple more basic bases. I tried to combine the word bases and biscuit right there. Anyway, Biscuit. Mr. Biscuit is already going up to a lair once more. What is Terran gonna do? I would love it if Terran would just simply default back to like this marine siege tank based style. He's gonna need a lot more barracks though. I mean, he does have a couple of unit-producing structures, and he's actually going to start up another command center right now, too, on the right-hand side of the map. A single Zergling is once again trying to figure out what's going on. He will find this one that is just being constructed, so that's actually a nice pickup here for the Zerg player. But I do think we need quite a bit more unit-producing structures here for our Terran player in blue, because Rara at this point doesn't have a lot, and he's already, you know, saving up quite a bit of resources. Usually, you're going to have at least like 3 or so barracks at this point in the game just to produce. He's even constructing another command center. Oh my god, the economical greed here from the Terran player is quite a sight to behold right now, right? Like, what exactly is he gonna do? I guess he's gonna plan on landing a lot of those mules, although the base eventually does get spotted. SCVs will be once more evacuated on out of there. Queen's not going on hold position, so they're just trying to scoot on by all of these units, and I think they will be able to do so successfully, except for this one. Look at that one. Man. He needs to tell the tale of his people to the people above the surface of the Abyssal Reef. Now, this does mean, though, that these supply depots will once again go down as well. And I think that Rar is better off, indeed, taking control of this side of the map. This is a little bit odd. These players, these players are trading spawn locations. Right? Like, I mean, if you would have tuned into this this game right now, you may have actually assumed that it was the Terran player that started off in this corner, and that the Zerg was the one that started off in the bottom right. They quite literally traded spawn locations. It's a bit of an odd situation to be in, but I have to say, I have to commend the Zerg at this point, right, for just cleanly picking this up. I mean, he's resorting back to his normal playstyle. I think he planned on playing like Roach Baneling or like maybe Roach Hydra or Ling Bane or whatever, but he's going back to his original playstyle, even taking a third base right now as well. I wouldn't even be surprised if he just takes the one in the main. I actually think that's a better choice just because, you know, it's a lot safer, a lot easier to defend. But regardless, Zerg is actually taking dominant control of this replay right now. In this game, I mean, the factory is still there. He's actually landing mules with a factory in the mineral line. That is the, like, that barrack or that command center cannot be placed properly there. Look at that. I love it. Rather than letting that tech lab go to waste, he's just mining from the close by mineral patches instead. Absolutely awesome. Now, Terran does still have a pretty solid amount of economy though, and look at the amount of army that he's got. Right? He's even gonna send a couple of SCVs across the map now. I really like that. These siege tanks, 14 and 16 kills respectively. That's a lot of kills on these siege tanks, and there's really not that many Zerg units available right now to try and stop this either. Zerg has been trying to make as many drones as possible, but Terran is gonna be in a pretty interesting position, leaving their, you know, own expansion completely wide open. I guess what would have been the natural expansion of the Zerg, but he's gonna leave that completely wide open. Zerglings are gonna try and see if they can maybe go for a counterattack right now. I do think that's the correct choice, but here we go. Oh man, these roaches just simply ran by these siege tanks, and we'll be able to pick up one of them with relative ease. Zerglings are trying to go for the wraparound as well, with the Marines and the siege tank once again able to close the distance quite easily. And there we go, the roaches are getting shut down. A couple more will also be floating to the surface of the Abyssal Reef, and Rar manages to obtain a very solid advantage there, shutting down that Zerg army. But there's no denying that he doesn't have a lot of economy left over. I mean, he's not making any SCVs. He's clearly not too comfortable in this scenario right now. He's actually saving up a ton of resources. He needs to get back into the swing of things, right? He needs to go back to his, you know, his originally planned playstyle. Because at this point, I mean, if you plan on closing this game out right now, good luck. Zerg has actually got himself another base mining for quite a while already. And Terran knows about this. I would love for him to just simply go back, make more barracks, make a lot more units, but here come the Banelings! They're gonna try and roll forward, and without Stimpack and these units being on creep, Zerg is gonna be able to smash this Terran army, and I think that indeed Terran is gonna be in a little bit of trouble, because Rar, while he's done a good job so far, right, securing himself this you know, this advantage that he had earlier, all of a sudden he's finding himself in a scenario that he's likely never been in. Look at it, he's desperately trying to produce a single Marine. He's trying to get into that, you know, crisis management right now. Here's what you do, okay, whenever you're in this scenario: Marines, upgrades, SCVs, and depots. That's what you default back to. You just try and continue spending that money. And the same could really be said right now for the Zerg. While Zerg is doing a magnificently better job at exactly that, drones and overlords is what should be your default go-to approach right now. If you're Protoss, go back to probes and pylons. Make as much economy as you can. Make sure you never hit supply blocks, and make sure that you spend all of the resources that you're getting in. Rar is slowly getting back into it. Look at it. Right? You can see the crisis management happening right now. He hasn't really played against this before, but he's trying to figure out what his best course of action is right now, and he's indeed adding on a lot more barracks. If you're flooding at this point in the game, don't be afraid to add on, like, you know, 3 more barracks, right? It's much better to just simply spend the resources than have it sitting around doing absolutely nothing. Was that Mr. Shark? Oh yeah, what's going on, Mr. Shark? I saw you out of the corner of my eye. That's a weird looking shark, by the way. I'm not entirely sure why he's got like 4 fins, and I don't think that those, you know, eye positionings are particularly helpful with a nose like that, because you're probably going to bump into things really easily. But Mr. Shark, good to see you once again. He's been floating around on the Abyssal Reef for quite some time. Now, speaking of going back to the defaults though, Mr. Biscuit here, he's doing a pretty good job at exactly that, right? He probably was planning to go, and now that we have a little bit more information about what's going on, he was probably planning to go like Roach Hydra with, you know, +1/+1 upgrades. He's doing exactly that right now. right? He's going back into that scenario. And actually, if I may make a suggestion right now, because obviously I don't know what he's going to do, I would love it if the Zerg is going to push out right when these upgrades finish up. I wouldn't be against him just simply making non-stop army right now until 1-1 finishes and then go for a really big push. Now, supply-wise, Zerg is very far ahead, but we all know how good a siege top tank is because obviously right now it's being shielded by a lot of these structures, and I think that Terran is by no stretch of the imagination out of this game just yet. If somehow some way Terran manages to get this money back down to 0 and he gets back into the swing of things, he's going to be able to hold this quite easily. Look at these siege tanks shielded away. Whew, man. Once again, look at these two roaches floating together to the surface once more. Now, single Widowmine apparently brave enough to go forward just a little bit more. I don't think he actually meant to make that one. He must have been accidentally queuing them up, and that's not a good sign, right? When you are on 2 bases and you're forced to drop supply depots from the sky just like that. But so far, though, Rar is indeed getting back into the swing of things. He's making continuous SCVs. He's trying his very best to get back into the macro swing. And I think that that is going to be the correct option right now here for the Terran player. In the meantime, though, Zerg is just about to finish up 1-1. He's even tacking up towards a hive right now. I don't see a Spire anywhere, so it could be either Vipers or, I guess, Ultralisks. I think that Vipers make a little bit more sense, but I would still love to see a push out right now with 1-1-1 finishing, just because that makes these units so very much more powerful. And I actually think that if Biscuit does so, appropriately, he's probably going to be able to win right here, right now. I gotta say, though, I really have to compliment Raw right here as well. He's abusing the fact that his opponent is not really scouting at all. Look, he's trying to figure out if there's any overlords nearby. No overlords to be seen anywhere. Great. That means that you can kind of take that risk and make that 3rd command center right now at this point in the game. Usually making that, if the Zerg is completely aware of it, it would have probably, sent all of these roaches and ravagers and also these hydralisks across the map to try and clean this one up. But since Zerg is not really doing any kind of scouting, Rar is going to be able to get himself a nice little advantage that way. And 3 command centers, I mean, with orbitals, they're pretty scary. They do a lot of work. At the same time, Vipers are also being produced. Biscuit is indeed securing more and more bases, still not actually going after the one in the main base. But I can't help but wonder that once these Vipers come out, and indeed they start getting a little bit of energy, with, for example, blinding clouds or just simply abduct, they can absolutely shred all of these Terran units, right? I mean, take the siege tanks out of these engagements, and all of a sudden this army is not looking nearly as menacing anymore. Zerg is actually just about to max out, and while Rar is doing a good job right now getting back into the macro swing, right? He spent too much time getting back into this moment. I mean, he's finally spending his resources right now, still floating quite a bit. He's finally getting himself that 3rd command center. He's transitioning back towards the siege tank marine marauder based army, and are also going for a couple of apparently banshees out of these double starports. Zerg is getting ready for the engagement. +2/+2 is coming in. He's not going to be waiting for that one. Spire as well as another expansion now also on that production tab. A single Widowmine will indeed spot that Zerg units are just about to enter the Terran perimeter, but I think with these Vipers here in place, this can easily go in favor of the Zerg. One hero Roach sacrificing its life to make sure that they know what they're going up against. Blinding clouds going down on all of this Terran army. These siege tanks are now reduced to a range of 1. All of the Zerg units are trying their best to engage. Apparently one of these siege tanks was yanked back into once again what was a siege tankable radius, but still the control grouping of these Vipers has been pretty solid, while a couple of siege tanks are shelling away from the 3rd base location. Corrosive Biles will land. The Hydras are going to be able to deal the damage, and Rar is forced to GG out. What an awesome... Yo! Biscuit! Biscuit! Biscuit, I was just about to compliment you. Your opponent played a valiant game. You played pretty good too, but then you... Why'd you have to call him a noob? That was completely unnecessary. Bad manners and bad-mouthing your opponent is not really gonna go anywhere, man. Normally, it's actually the losers that end up being the ones that are salty, but apparently in this particular instance, Raw is, perfectly legitimate, calls it a good game, and Biscuit apparently calls his opponent out for being a noob? I don't really know, man. You still have 3,500 resources in the bank. seems a little bit unnecessary. Regardless though, I hope you guys enjoyed watching this video today. If you did, make sure you hit that like button down below, and if you want to see more, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you get a notification as soon as I upload more. Other than that, I want to thank you for watching. Have an amazing day. Do not forget to smile, alright, and I will see you in the next one.